I had always believed in hard work, but belief alone wasn't enough to fill my empty stomach or pay the rent on my tiny apartment. My name is Jake Carter, and for years I had been chasing success with nothing but determination and a few dollars in my pocket. Every morning I woke up before sunrise, grabbed my worn-out briefcase and headed to job interviews, most of which ended with the same polite rejection. "We appreciate your enthusiasm, but we've decided to go with someone more experienced." Experience? How could I gain any when no one was willing to give me a chance? That evening was particularly harsh. The winter wind bit through my thin coat as I walked home from yet another failed interview. I was exhausted, cold, and wondering how much longer I could hold on before I had to move back in with my parents, a thought that crushed me. As I approached the bus stop, I noticed a woman sitting on the bench shivering uncontrollably. She had no coat, no gloves, just a thin blouse and slacks. Without a second thought, I took off my jacket and draped it over her shoulders. "You look like you need this more than I do," I said with a small smile. She looked up, startled, her piercing green eyes meeting mine. "Thank you," she whispered, pulling the coat tightly around her. At that moment, I had no idea that this simple act of kindness would change my life forever. The woman, who introduced herself as Evelyn, insisted on repaying me. She pulled out a business card from her purse, handing it to me with a knowing smile. "If you ever need an opportunity, come see me," she said, before stepping into a sleek, black car that had just pulled up. I glanced down at the card. Evelyn Harrington, CEO of Harrington Global Ventures. My heart skipped a beat. I had just given my only decent jacket to one of the most powerful businesswomen in the country. The next day, I hesitated before dialing the number on the card. What if she didn't remember me? What if she had just been polite? But then I thought about the pile of unpaid bills on my desk, the eviction notice on my door, and the gnawing hunger in my stomach. I had nothing to lose. A few hours later, I found myself standing in the massive lobby of Harrington Global Ventures. The receptionist led me to Evelyn's office, where she greeted me warmly. "I appreciate what you did last night," she said, gesturing for me to sit. Not many people would give up their own comfort for a stranger. I shrugged. It was the right thing to do. She studied me for a moment before sliding a folder across the desk. "I have an entry-level position available. It's not glamorous, but it's a start. Are you interested?" My hands trembled as I picked up the folder. This was it, my first real opportunity. I threw myself into my new job with everything I had. Though the position was entry-level, I treated it as if it were the most important job in the company. My days started early and ended late, filled with research, note-taking, and quiet observation of the senior executives. I knew that if I wanted to rise, I needed to understand the business inside and out. At first, my tasks were simple: compiling reports, scheduling meetings, and organizing marketing materials. I wasn't directly involved in any major decisions, but that didn't stop me from learning. I absorbed every conversation around me, studying the strategies and tactics used by the senior team. I took detailed notes after meetings, analyzing why certain marketing campaigns succeeded while others failed. Despite my dedication, there were moments of doubt. The corporate world was ruthless, and my colleagues, many of whom had degrees from prestigious universities, didn't take me seriously. Some dismissed me as a lucky outsider who had gotten in because of a random encounter. But instead of letting their skepticism break me, I used it as fuel. I reminded myself that I was here for a reason. I was determined to prove that success wasn't about where you came from, but about how hard you were willing to work. One afternoon, I overheard two executives discussing a problem with an upcoming product launch. They were struggling to reach a younger audience, and their marketing strategy wasn't generating the engagement they needed. I had spent weeks studying consumer behavior and digital trends, and I saw an opportunity. Taking a deep breath, I gathered my notes and approached one of the executives. "I think I have an idea that might help," I said. He looked surprised. "You?" I nodded. "I've been analyzing social media engagement trends, and I believe we can adjust our approach to better connect with younger consumers." He hesitated for a moment, then sighed. "All right, let's hear it." I explained my idea. A targeted social media campaign using influencers and interactive content to create buzz around the product. I backed it up with data, demonstrating how similar strategies had worked for other brands. To my surprise, he listened intently, asking questions and taking notes. A week later, the company implemented my idea. The campaign was a success, boosting engagement and increasing pre-orders significantly. Suddenly, people started noticing me. The same colleagues who had once dismissed me now saw me as someone with valuable insights. Evelyn herself stopped by my desk one evening. "I heard about your idea," she said, a proud smile on her face. "You've got potential, Jake." Her words meant everything to me. It was the first real validation that I was on the right path. But I knew this was only the beginning. If I wanted to make a real impact, I had to keep pushing forward. Over the next few months, I took every opportunity to contribute. I volunteered for projects, stayed late to refine strategies, and built relationships with key players in the company. I asked questions, sought mentorship, and absorbed every lesson I could. One day, I received an unexpected email from Evelyn's assistant. She wanted me to prepare a report for an upcoming high-level meeting. It was a chance to prove myself to the company's top executives. I spent days researching, ensuring every detail in my report was flawless. When the day of the meeting arrived, I sat quietly as Evelyn presented my findings to the board. As she spoke, I watched the expressions of the executives change. First, curiosity, then approval. When she finished, one of the senior directors turned to me. "This is excellent work, Jake," he said. "I'd like to hear more from you in the future." I could hardly believe it. In just a few months, I had gone from a struggling job seeker to someone whose ideas were shaping company decisions. And yet I knew this was only the beginning. I had stepped into a world where opportunities were created, not given. I had proven that hard work and determination could open doors. But now I had to decide how far I was willing to go. The momentum I had built at the company was exhilarating, but I knew I couldn't afford to become complacent. Success in the corporate world wasn't just about having one good idea. It was about consistently proving your worth. Evelyn took a special interest in my progress. She invited me to strategy meetings, encouraged me to speak up, and gave me opportunities to lead small projects. Under her mentorship, I began to see business not just as a job, but as a game, one where vision, risk, and calculated moves determined who won and who faded into obscurity. One evening, Evelyn called me into her office. "Jake, I want you to spearhead a new project," she said, sliding a folder across her desk. "It's ambitious, but I think you're ready." I picked up the file and scanned the details. It was a product expansion plan targeting an international market, something the company had attempted before but failed to execute properly. The risk was massive, but so was the potential reward. "You want me to lead this?" I asked, still processing the weight of the responsibility. She nodded. "I do. You've proven yourself, and I trust your instincts. But I won't lie, this won't be easy. You'll face pushback, and if it fails, there will be consequences." I swallowed, hard. The safe choice would have been to say no, to stay in my comfort zone. But I hadn't come this far to play it safe. "I'll do it," I said. For the next several months, my life revolved around the project. I built a team, studied international markets, and worked tirelessly to develop a launch strategy. There were roadblocks at every turn. Unexpected market shifts, logistical nightmares, and internal resistance from executives who doubted my ability to pull it off. At one point, a senior manager confronted me. "Jake, you're biting off more than you can chew," he said bluntly. "You don't have the experience to handle something this big." I looked him in the eye and replied, "Experience isn't everything. Strategy, adaptability, and execution matter just as much." Despite the doubts, I pushed forward. I refused to let fear dictate my actions. I sought guidance when needed, but I also trusted my instincts. When launch day finally arrived, the stakes were higher than ever. If the campaign failed, it wouldn't just be a setback. It could cost me everything I had worked for. But as the numbers rolled in, I felt a wave of relief. The launch was a massive success, exceeding projections and breaking company records for international sales. Evelyn called me into her office that evening. "You did it," she said, her voice filled with pride. "And you didn't just succeed. You changed the way this company approaches growth." I exhaled, finally allowing myself to feel the weight of what I had accomplished. But deep down, I knew this wasn't the end of the journey. If anything, it was just the beginning. For the first time in my life, I wasn't just trying to survive. I was aiming for something bigger. And I knew exactly what my next goal was. I didn't just want to climb the corporate ladder. I wanted to build something of my own. Success had given me confidence, but it had also awakened something deeper, a hunger to create something of my own. I had spent years proving myself in someone else's company, learning from the best, and mastering the strategies that built empires. But now I wanted to build one myself. Evelyn had always taught me to think bigger, to take risks that others were afraid to. But when I told her my plans, I could see the hesitation in her eyes. "You've got a bright future here, Jake," she said. "You could go all the way to the top." I took a deep breath. "I know, and I'll always be grateful for everything you've taught me. But I want to do more than climb the corporate ladder. I want to build the ladder itself." She studied me for a long moment before nodding. "I won't stop you. In fact, I'll help you. But know this, starting your own company is a different kind of war. You won't just be competing against others. You'll be battling your own doubts every day." I knew she was right, but the fire inside me wouldn't let me turn back. Leaving the company was the hardest decision I had ever made. I had security, a high salary, and a promising future, but none of that compared to the thrill of chasing something bigger. I started with nothing but an idea. I wanted to build a tech-driven marketing agency, one that used AI and behavioral analytics to revolutionize how businesses connected with their customers. It was a field I had studied intensely, and I saw an opportunity that no one else was capitalizing on. The first few months were brutal. I drained my savings to fund operations, working out of a tiny apartment with a team of 3 people, 2 of whom were just as ambitious and hungry as I was. We worked 16-hour days, pitching to investors, refining our technology, and trying to land our first major client. But rejection came hard and fast. No track record. Too much risk. Come back when you have something proven. Every rejection stung, but I refused to let them break me. I knew that in business, persistence separated the winners from the forgotten. Our break came unexpectedly. A mid-sized retail company struggling with declining sales agreed to let us run a pilot campaign using our AI-driven strategy. It was a make-or-break moment. If we failed, we wouldn't get another chance. We poured everything into the project, analyzing customer data, optimizing ad placements, and crafting hyper-personalized marketing messages. Weeks later, the results came in. A 40% increase in customer engagement and a 25% boost in sales. The CEO of the retail company was stunned. "Whatever you did, it worked. Let's talk long-term." That deal changed everything. Word spread fast. Other companies started calling, intrigued by what we had done. Within a year, our small startup had grown into a multi-million-dollar firm with clients across multiple industries. I had gone from struggling to find a job to running a company that was reshaping the industry. And yet, I knew the journey wasn't over. Because real success wasn't just about making money, it was about leaving a legacy. And I was just getting started. Success had come faster than I expected, but I knew it was fragile. I had seen too many entrepreneurs rise and fall, their empires crumbling under the weight of their own ambition. I refused to be one of them. I worked harder than ever. But now, the challenges were different. It wasn't about proving myself anymore. It was about staying ahead. Competitors emerged, trying to replicate our success. Industry giants took notice and attempted to crush us with their resources. The pressure was relentless. One evening I sat alone in my office staring at the city skyline. My company had grown beyond anything I had imagined. We had global clients, a team of brilliant minds, and a reputation that put us on the map. And yet, I felt something stirring inside me, a restlessness I couldn't ignore. Evelyn's words echoed in my mind. Success isn't about reaching the top. It's about what you do once you're there. I had built my empire. Now, I had to decide what kind of leader I wanted to be. A new purpose. Instead of just expanding my company, I started looking for ways to give back. I remembered what it felt like to be struggling, desperate for a chance. There were thousands of people out there just like me, talented, hungry, and waiting for an opportunity. I created a mentorship program, investing in young entrepreneurs who had ideas but no resources. I funded startups not just for profit but to help others rise the way Evelyn had helped me. I knew that real success wasn't measured in dollars but in impact. Then one day I got a call I never expected. Evelyn was retiring. "I want you to take my place," she said. "You were meant for this." I felt a lump in my throat. The company where I had started as an unknown, desperate job seeker, the company that had shaped me, was now being offered to me. I had spent years proving that I could build something of my own. Now I had the chance to lead something even bigger. I walked into that boardroom, the same place where I had once been just another voice in the crowd. But this time every eye was on me. I took a deep breath and smiled. I accept. Because this wasn't just my story anymore, it was the beginning of something even greater.